Hello, friends, and welcome back to TJKidz Super Fun Stories, where imagination becomes reality. Today's adventure is actually a follow-up to one of our earlier tales, No Socks for Stevie. If you haven't heard that one, you can check it out anytime. But don't worry, you don't need it to enjoy this story. This one stands perfectly on its own. Alright, let's find out what this Stinky Sock Saga is all about. So grab a comfy spot, get cozy, and join me for this adventure. Stevie's Stinky Socks. Stevie Parker had changed a lot. He went from being an anti-sockite, one who hates everything sock-related, to loving his socks a little too much. Well, one particular pair, anyway. Ever since the birthday party at the Jumpathon, the one where he discovered the bright blue super socks with grippy bottoms, Stevie had become a brand new kid. A sock-wearing, sock-loving kid. He wore them everywhere. Sure, kids are supposed to wear socks to school, to the store, even to birthday parties. But Stevie was starting to take things way beyond normal sock-wearing behavior. Mom had to remind him to take his socks off before jumping into the swimming pool. He once tried to wear them on the taekwondo mat, which everyone knows is a big no-no. He even wore them to bed. Mom and Dad were thrilled at first. After all, Stevie had spent years refusing socks as if they were foot poison created by an evil villain trying to drain his powers. But now, it was like the socks gave him powers, and things had begun to get out of hand. One morning, Dad opened Stevie's bedroom door. "Stevie, time for school." He stopped mid-sentence, sniffed, and then gagged. "Oh, what is that smell?" he cried. "It smells like there's a dead animal in here." Stevie sat up in bed, yawned, and stretched out his arms. "I don't smell anything." He hopped off the bed and walked toward Dad. Dad took a step back. "Stevie, did you sleep in your socks again?" "Of course," Stevie said. "My super socks never leave my feet. They keep my feet warm at night. They grip the floor when I get out of bed. They help me run fast. Honestly, they're basically part of my body now." Dad held his nose. "They're part of a hazard zone. That's what they are. I have to throw those in the wash right now. Or maybe I should just throw them in the garbage. I'm not sure that smell will come out." Stevie gasped. "No way, Dad. You can't throw out my super socks. I can't survive without these. They're my superpower." "You can't go to school in those," Dad said. "They stink." Stevie crossed his arms. "Try and stop me." Dad called down the hall. "Honey, I need backup." Mom walked in the room and gave Stevie the look. Stevie sighed. "Okay, you stopped me. Here you go." He peeled off the socks slowly and carefully, as if handing over a delicate ancient artifact. Dad pinched them with 2 fingers. "Oh, I should be wearing gloves," he said. He tossed the socks into the washer and headed downstairs to help Mom with breakfast. The moment Mom and Dad disappeared, Stevie sprinted to the laundry room. He opened the washer and grabbed the socks. He slipped them back on. Then he pulled pants over them and shoved his feet into shoes to hide the evidence. Stevie strutted into the kitchen like nothing happened. Mom turned around. "Oh my, Stevie, what is that smell? Your feet must still stink from those dirty socks being on so long. You need to go shower now." Stevie pointed out the window.
Whoop, too late. My bus is here. Gotta go.
He grabbed his backpack and dashed out the door before Mom could say another word. Stevie tore across the yard and jumped onto the school bus. The moment he sat down, a few kids in the rows ahead of him turned their heads, sniffed the air, and started looking around.
Ew, one said. What is that smell?
Another kid covered his nose.
It smells like rotten fish.
Then another shouted, "Bus driver, can we open the windows?" The bus driver called back, "I have the air conditioning on. You will not." Then the smell reached her. "Oh," she gagged. "Open the windows. Open the windows. Just down to the line." The kids scrambled to slide the windows open and then sighed with relief as fresh air began rushing in. Stevie turned to a friend.
I don't smell anything.
"Really?" his friend replied. "How can you not smell that? It's terrible." Stevie just smiled and looked out the window, completely unaware that the smell was coming from him. When they arrived at school, things didn't get any better. In class, kids kept turning around, sniffing the air, then plugging their noses and whispering among one another. At first, the teacher seemed annoyed at the commotion, until the smell reached her. She paused mid-lesson. "Okay," she said, "we're going outside for recess. Something in here smells unusual." Stevie followed everyone out to the playground. He still didn't smell a thing. During kickball, Stevie launched the ball across the field. Another kid caught it, took one sniff, dropped it instantly, and ran away shouting, "The ball stinks! It's everywhere!" Kids scattered off the field like the ball was explosive. Stevie jogged over to join his classmates. "I still smell it," one kid said. "It's following us." Another kid sniffed the air.
It's getting closer.
Stevie started to think that maybe it was him. One kid began walking towards Stevie.
Wait, it's coming from... Oh, I have to go to the bathroom,
Stevie blurted. He took off toward the door, and behind him he heard the same kid say,
"Wait, I don't smell it anymore."
Stevie popped into a bathroom stall and locked the door behind him. He slowly lifted his foot and sniffed his sock. He nearly fell over.
"Oh, wow," he said. "Those do stink. I've got to do something."
He opened the stall and looked around. A garbage can sat in the corner. Stevie quickly pulled off his beloved super socks and held them up like he was saying goodbye to old friends.
"We had some amazing times," he whispered, "but it's time to go back to nature. I guess socks and me just weren't meant to be after all."
He dropped them in the trash. When Stevie got home from school, Dad met him at the door. "What happened to the socks I put in the wash?" he asked.
"I threw them away," Stevie said.
"Oh." Dad hesitated, clearly expecting a different answer. "Good. I'm not sure I could have washed that smell out. Our house still stinks."
"All good," Stevie said. "I'll just go back to the way nature intended. Foot freedom."
"Oh, that's not what I meant," Dad said. "You can just wear..." But Stevie had already sprinted outside barefoot before Dad could finish. After a few days, Stevie felt free again. He was getting used to walking around barefoot like he used to. But when it came time to go places, he was just putting shoes on over his bare feet. He wore shoes with no socks to the store, to school, everywhere. At first, no one really noticed, but after a couple of weeks, the smell returned. Slowly at first, then stronger. Then people began noticing. In class, kids started whispering again.
Something smells weird. Is it the trash can? No, it's moving.
At taekwondo, the entire class nearly fainted when Stevie took off his shoes to step onto the mat. We're going to have to cancel class today, the instructor said. I think there might be a dead animal in the vents. On the drive home, Mom held her nose. Stevie, that smell is coming from you. Are you wearing those socks again?
Nope, Stevie said proudly. I don't wear socks anymore.
Mom looked at him in the rearview mirror. What do you mean you don't wear socks? What about when you have shoes on?
Nope, never, Stevie said.
Stevie Parker, Mom replied. Do you mean to tell me you've been wearing your shoes with no socks? You can't wear shoes without socks. It makes everything stink. No wonder the smell is back.
But I only wear super socks, Stevie said. And those are gone now.
Mom sighed. Okay, I'll just order you some new socks with grippy bottoms. But until they arrive, you have to wear regular socks.
Stevie groaned. Regular socks? Those are foot prisons.
But Mom didn't budge. The next morning, Stevie put on a pair of plain white socks. He expected them to feel awful, but they didn't. They were soft, they were warm, they smelled fresh and new, and they didn't stick to his feet. Then, when he came downstairs for breakfast, he discovered something amazing. He could slide across the kitchen floor.
Whoa, Stevie said. Okay, that was pretty cool.
After a few days, Stevie was starting to realize that maybe regular socks weren't so bad after all. By the time the new grippy socks arrived in the mail, Stevie had already gotten used to wearing regular ones. Mom handed him the package. If you're going to wear these every day, you'll need to wash them yourself. Your father and I are not going to wash socks every day. Stevie smiled.
That's okay, Mom. I don't need to wear them every day. I can just wear them when I need extra grip.
He looked down at his regular socks and wiggled his toes.
These will do just fine.
The end. And that is the end of our story, friends. Well, Stevie went on quite a sock journey. From hating socks to loving them a little too much, to giving them up completely, and finally discovering that regular socks aren't so bad after all. Sometimes we think we know exactly what we like, until life shows us something new. And that leads me to a moral I learned from today's story. Sometimes the things we think we'll never like, or the things we think we'll always like, end up surprising us. Trying something new can change everything. What about you? What did you learn today? Something different? Well, that's it for today, friends. Thanks for tuning in. See you on the next one. Toodles!